Alright everybody, thanks for tuning in. What we've got here is a QA1 part number BC02 internal bump stop, and I'm going to show you the breakdown of the correct way to install this because I couldn't find any great or at all existent instructions on QA1's website on how this is supposed to go together. So I think by now you get the idea. An internal bump stop is supposed to stop the dampening forces between the end of the shock before it bottoms out. That way you prevent any damage and you slow down that last 3/4 of an inch or so of travel. With one of these you wouldn't cause any undue damage to the shock if it did bottom out. So take your 11/16 wrench, loosen the jam nut, and then pull the lower shock mount off, and then try to unthread your rod end. If you're a little stuck like this one was, run over to your toolbox, grab a set of slip joint pliers somewhere in here. There we go. Gently, ever so gently, just grab onto the threads there. If you want to be extra careful, put a piece of leather or something in the jaws so that way you don't maul up the threads. Take your 11/16, break it loose, take your thread adapter off, and then take your jam nut off. This is where you want to be careful. When you're installing this bump stop, you're going to put the concave or dish side, whatever you want to call it, up towards the shock body. And once you've got that slid up a little bit, put the washer on and then reinstall your jam nut. Thread your jam nut all the way up until it stops, and then take your threaded insert and put it all the way back up to the jam nut. Take your rod end and put it on the threaded insert. If you've messed up the threads, it might be hard to start, or if you get down to the last few threads, it's going to get a little tight. If you are too tight and it's rotating the shock rod, you need to go back and clean that up. You're just going to have other problems later. So put your lower shock mount back on. At least get your bolt started loosely, and then take your 11/16 and just jam it back shut. Now you don't want to put too much leverage on this because that is an aluminum nut and a metal rod. You'll strip it right out if you're not careful. So now that we've got this installed, you can see a better premise of how this is supposed to work. Pull that bumper all the way to the bottom where it's supposed to be in travel. When the shock body comes all the way down and hits the bumper, it's going to squeeze that up at a higher rate and add some spring deflection. That way you don't damage anything again. Go ahead and finish reinstalling your lower shock mount and you'll be good to go. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions about anything else on this car, shoot me a message or put a comment down below and I'll do a little more detailed tutorial of how that goes together, or try and fill in any blanks or questions that you might have. Thanks.